After more than 2 decades of silence, Ice Cube is finally breaking his silence about his time with Diddy. He has now testified, revealing disturbing claims about witnessing Diddy grooming minors during their time together. Meanwhile, Kanye West has also made headlines by appearing at Diddy's trial in a show of support. Adding to the controversy, a leaked phone call between Kanye and Diddy is going viral. The situation escalated further when one of the jurors was dismissed amid allegations that Diddy's legal team had been manipulating him.
Out, some platforms will not have me on.
Why?
They don't like that I'm, an independent thinker. I'm not part of the herd. I'm not part of the go along to get along gang, so to speak. So, I'm an outsider. And so, I'm not part of
almost 40 years rocking the mic.
This still killing it, goddamn.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, me and Dub C ain't never been to a Diddy party, motherfucker. You ain't gotta worry about us on them motherfucking tapes. Now check this shit out.
Week 4 of the Diddy trial is underway, and shocking revelations continue to emerge. Ice Cube has reportedly testified about what he witnessed inside Diddy's mansion back in 1994. At the time, Ice Cube was collaborating with Diddy on his War and Peace album, and during production, he was invited to Diddy's home. According to Ice Cube, the mansion was filled with drugs, guns, and escorts, items now being entered into evidence by the FBI. He described seeing walls lined with over 1,000 bottles of baby oil, along with lube, narcotics, and even whips. Cube also alleged that Diddy physically abused women in front of his guests. While Diddy assumed Ice Cube would stay silent like others, Ice Cube chose to distance himself and quietly walked away.
You're hearing Diddy everywhere, okay?
Yeah.
So, did you ever have any kind of run-in with Diddy? Did you ever do anything with Diddy? Any projects you worked on with him?
He produced a few records, or had his producers do a few records on my War and Peace album, the Peace Disc. Yeah.
How was he to work with?
It was cool. He, gave us great music. We flew out to New York, and I was mainly in the studio with the producer. He had a stable of producers, so I was in the studio with his stable of producers, and I think we did some great music. And I really kind of lost contact with him and really stopped dealing with Puffy around 94. Yeah.
Any specific reason?
Yeah, they was doing their thing, I was doing mine. And I'm not the partying type. I ain't never been to a Diddy party. I ain't never really wanted to go, but I don't go to a lot of people parties. That just ain't what I'm in it for.
Ice Cube's testimony included detailed reports, specific names, locations, and dates. He told the jury everything he witnessed inside Diddy's mansion, describing in disturbing detail how Diddy allegedly abused women. Diddy had expected Cube to remain silent, just like many others in the industry. But instead, Ice Cube came forward. When Diddy's lawyers objected, calling Cube's statements prejudicial and based on hearsay, the judge overruled them, citing Cube's first-hand experience and sworn oath. The courtroom fell into a stunned silence as Cube described hidden rooms, surveillance systems, and the intimidation tactics Diddy and his associates allegedly used to orchestrate their notorious freak-offs. Cube further revealed that powerful music industry figures tried to silence him. "They warned me," he said, "told me I'd never work again, but I couldn't unsee what I saw." To this day, Ice Cube claims he has been blackballed by these elites.
Is homeboy Ice Cube. And some of you may not have realized that I'm not part of the club. And a lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either. And what I realized with the club is what makes them so mad is when you don't want to be a part of their fucking club. That pisses them off. What club am I talking about? I'm talking about the club of gatekeepers that we all got to deal with. You know who they are, and they definitely know who they are. A lot of people would be like, what? Who? Come on, man, stop playing. So, ever since I put out the contract with Black America, you know they've been fucking with me. Here and there, this and that. But it's cool, you know. I expect it.
Yeah.
What platforms have banned you?
I've been you know, I tried to go on The View. They didn't have me on The View.
Why?
Well, a few of the guests just really didn't like where I was coming from. So, or a few of the hosts, I mean. So that's what I was told by the producers. You know, I don't know if the producers was just copping out and using some of the hosts to not have me come on and explain myself, but
You'd be a good booking for them.
I've been on there before.
Yeah.
You know, it's just when I've became an independent thinker, when I've, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't follow their brand of politics, I guess.
But if you can't think for yourself, then you're not really free, are you?
No, you're not. You're not. But I've been excluded. I've been excluded on Oprah, you know.
On Oprah?
On Oprah, yeah, I've been excluded. Yeah, man.
I would think you'd be the person Oprah would want to promote. I mean, you grew up in South Central, you were successful at a young age, you have dignity, you say what you think.
What's happening to Diddy now has been building for a long time. He's not the true ringleader, just another pawn in a much bigger game. Once the elites at the top, the so-called gatekeepers of the industry, decided Diddy was no longer useful, they began to discard him. Hollywood is a deeply corrupt system, one that seems to manufacture victims and abusers in equal measure. Many believe that Clive Davis played a major role in shaping Diddy into the figure he became, creating a legacy built on manipulation, control, and silence.
When you've been to them all.
Are you surprised at what things are coming out with Diddy at all, or you like you have no idea? It's none of my business. You'll live longer. Kind of like the mindset.
I mean, surprised. How could you be surprised with anything that happens in hip hop? You know, hip hop is the Wild West. So you're gonna have the good, you're gonna have the bad, you're gonna have the ugly.
You think he's being targeted, or some of the stuff he's got, you know, there's credibility on what they're coming after him with the tapes and the feds and raiding his Miami home, his LA home?
I believe he's being targeted.
You believe he's being targeted?
Yeah. I believe, you know, somebody, you know, has the power to pull the trigger to make, you know, this stuff, this domino effect happen.
Okay. All right. So you think he's being targeted. So you don't think, you know, Suge said, you can say what you want about Diddy, but Diddy didn't learn to like young boys. He learned it from a man named Clive Davis. He threw Clive Davis in there. It doesn't sound like you're part of that camp. You're part of the camp that you think he's being targeted.
You know, I don't know enough to even be able to be specific on any of this stuff. It's just all speculation. I just know he was cool up until a point, and then this stuff started happening. So I believe somebody, you know, like I said, yo, he's our new guy. We on this year.
As we begin to peel back the layers of Ice Cube's courtroom revelations, a disturbing picture of Hollywood emerges, one rife with abuse and exploitation. The entertainment industry has long harbored predators, with high-profile cases involving figures like Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and Roman Polanski, highlighting the systemic rot. Now, with Diddy under scrutiny, similar allegations are being raised once again. Ice Cube's testimony suggests that powerful individuals, including music executives and film directors, were complicit in a broader network of abuse. These claims point to a hidden culture of coercion and trafficking, where silence is bought and careers are controlled.
You got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far. You know, who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head. You know, but when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it. A man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man.
Allegations have surfaced that Diddy may still be manipulating the trial from behind the scenes. Most recently, juror number 6 was dismissed by the judge after it was discovered that he had lied during jury selection. Despite this, Diddy's legal team fought hard to keep him on the panel, calling him critical to the defense. This has raised a chilling question. How did someone like Juror 6 make it onto the jury in the first place? According to sources close to the case, the juror had undisclosed ties to Bad Boy Records through a distant family connection, something he failed to disclose during the selection process. The revelation has sent shockwaves through the courtroom and the public alike.
Juror 6 gave multiple inconsistent statements. The judge was going over his issues with juror number 6, and although he did not make a final determination, his thoughts on juror number 6 being removed were pretty clear. He stated that in the initial process, juror number 6 said that he lived in the Bronx with his fiance and his daughter. Then he turned around a while later and said that he moved to New Jersey with his girlfriend and also said that his daughter lived in New Jersey. But then it changed again and said that his daughter lived in the Bronx with his aunt. And he referenced that this was only a couple of the inconsistent statements, that there were more. The judge then stated that he wants this juror off the jury because there is no reason why this man would have to lie, and the only reason he would lie is to be a part of the Diddy trial, which made him worry that this juror might have a malicious intent or an agenda. But then after the judge said that we need to strike this juror off of the jury, Diddy's team started bringing up more arguments about this. Diddy's lawyer said that this juror is important because they need diversity, and he is only one of 4 black men that sit on the jury. He also said that he doesn't believe that these inconsistencies were that big of a deal where this juror would have to be removed. Diddy's team was arguing that this is something that should have been brought up weeks ago, and nobody brought this up, and the government is saying, listen, I didn't even know about this back then. Then Diddy's lawyer said something really, really weird. They said, just bring this juror in, just question him. I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure he'll be able to explain. But this is what the government wanted the judge to do earlier, and Diddy's lawyer said, no. That would be harassing the juror. Then the judge told everybody to get out of the courtroom, that they needed to have a sealed.
Diddy maintained close ties with powerful political figures, including a well-known friendship with New York Mayor Eric Adams. Interestingly, both men were exposed around the same time, raising questions about the extent of their connections. Diddy's relationship with political elites may explain how he managed to avoid arrest for so long, despite mounting allegations. Even now, some of the industry's biggest names continue to stand by him, most notably Kanye West, who recently appeared at the trial in a public show of support.
Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, has made a surprise appearance at Sean Diddy Combs' criminal trial on Friday.
Kanye, why'd you show up today? Is he about testifying?
He expressed support for his fellow rapper as he defends against sex trafficking charges.
Put your hands today, Mr. West. Did you speak up?
Breaking news tonight, for the first time in the history of New York City, a sitting mayor has been indicted for crimes. ABC News reporting that Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We do not know yet the exact charges. Federal authorities have been investigating Adams and members of his staff, issuing subpoenas for documents and cell phones. Several members of administration have resigned, some of them also friends of Mayor Adams. Again, Eric Adams, the 110th mayor of New York, has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We'll have the latest online and tonight on Eyewitness News.
Always been the type of individual that want to have ups on the next person no matter what they was doing. He did the stuff to Ja Rule so he could go after Jay-Z. They not gonna come out and speak on nothing that has anything to do with them, and they praying that they not on the tape doing crazy stuff, being oiled up in the whole 9 yards. Until the feds say, hey, yo, listen here. Hey, buddy, we got you on this tape, and girl.
The alleged abuse carried out by Diddy has left a trail of devastation, with countless lives affected. Young artists were reportedly groomed, manipulated, and forced into lives marked by trauma and shame. Some believe this is what ultimately drove figures like Justin Bieber and the late Aaron Carter to substance abuse, an attempt to silence the pain and escape the haunting memories. These allegations paint a deeply troubling picture of how power can be weaponized within the entertainment industry.
You see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in.
Prosecutors have now introduced evidence of the drugs Diddy allegedly used, presenting it directly to the jury. Photos taken from Diddy's hotel room were shown in court, revealing not only large quantities of MDMA, ecstasy, and cocaine, but also firearms and $9,000 in cash, money he allegedly intended to pay escorts. This came even after the high-profile raid on his Miami mansion, where authorities reportedly discovered over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and various paraphernalia linked to the so-called freak-offs. The mounting evidence, including links to missing persons and potential trafficking activity, has left many convinced that Diddy's involvement in these crimes is undeniable.